don't know why that re-happened again. And that went for a double turn. What's going on, everyone? I hope you're doing well. It's podcast number 138. We're still waiting for our companion, Lewis Howard, to join us. So currently, it's me and Louis are going to hold down the fort. So I've only got to ask one person this week. How you doing, Louis?
I've been better, actually. I've been dealing with this sort of severe illness that you get in the festive season, as you're so gracefully exhibiting with that beautiful hat that you have there. But yeah, I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in that Christmas spirit. I mean, we've got some people earlier on in the chat. I mean, there's currently as we're recording this right now, we're doing it live. We do some of these every now and then with the podcast side of things, and there's a big So Rare auction going on, as I can see from the chat here. Jumpshoot being in there, 20k now. Chet Holmgren. I haven't got it open. Let's see if we can get this open. But I think the run of the mill of what we're going to talk about today is generally the NBA at Christmas, right, Louis? We'll touch on some of the stuff that we haven't spoken about since we last sat down and recorded, and then also we'll run through some of the general sort of casual stocks falling and stocks rising within the NBA. The NBA at Christmas is always really nice, I feel. I don't know why. I think also because we get Christmas games on at like really friendly times for us. I think that's the main thing for guys over here in the UK and some of Europe. So I think that's the main thing of where we look forward to for the NBA at Christmas in any case.
Yeah, and they're always good games, right? They try and match up some of the more keen rivalries in the league, I guess. I was just looking at who it is this year, actually. There's some decent ones, I guess. There is one that I feel. I mean, maybe we could discuss the Golden State Warriors, but there's one there that could be an absolute drubbing if it goes the way that I think it's going to go. But but the Lakers Celtics, that's always fun to see. Again, maybe some disparity in the matchups there, but yeah, they're always fun, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's just also I just remember the times like I would go be absolutely stuffed off eating Christmas food all day from Christmas dinner, and then you'd sit down and then you can casually watch. See, I always remember the Bucks playing the Celtics. I always remember that one for some reason.
The ones I always particularly remember is like the Warriors Cavs at their peak of their rivalries when they'd have like the Christmas jerseys and everything.
Yeah, I've just thrown this on screen now because it was coming up and I can see the chat going. They're going quite mad for it. 24k. I mean, I don't know what this chat's going to sort of go at. This is off script, Louis. I understand that we wasn't going to speak about this, but it was there live. So we'll throw it on in the background. We'll have a little bit of I should probably put this in the
Jesus Christ, it's a lot of money.
Mental. It is a lot of money. So I mean, I know you're not massively into the Soho Streets. You play it now. You're on the free to play side. You do all the common goals. But yeah.
I mean, I can imagine Chet would do you quite well, if I'm honest, as well, in my basic limited knowledge of Soho, but.
Yeah, he's a good point scorer, Chet. So this should be going for a lot more.
A lot of blocks, steals.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I was going to say. That went for 19k. That is a steal in comparison to Wemby. What was Wemby? I can't even remember what Wemby was now. Let's go have a look.
It was a record, wasn't it? I remember you saying about it.
Yeah, I even done the tweet for it. When Wembanyama was, we're looking at, what did his unique sell for? 90,000 was Wembanyama. That was YNWA. Did YNWA get that? I didn't even see it. I don't think it was YNWA. No, it was Mr. U. Oh, he's the guy that's got all the Senguns, yeah. So I mean, look, that's the Soho kind of things for it. I'm not sure if we can class that as the steal per se, but it is what it is for it. In the meantime, what's this has been happening? Oh, go on, Lou.
I was going to say, who do you have at the minute for Rookie of the Year, Chet or Wemby? Because I'm firmly in Chet camp right now.
I even did I not say Chet in my prediction? I think I did say
I think
Chet,
you did. I think you did say
Chet.
Yeah,
I was always Chet just because I feel like he was going to come into the league and be a little bit more settled with things. Like that team was going to be ready right for him, where the Spurs were going to have to be kind of getting used to Sohan and everything that he's got from it. But well done, Mr. U069, my mum and dad on the Sengun fan. He loves the Sengun, clearly. Another solid addition there too. That as £20,000 digital cards go, that's probably a steal, is what we can say. Is all I'll add to the matter for it. But we've gone off tangent. I feel enough on the Soho side. We'll probably pick it back up because they had an update. Actually, do you know what? We'll do that now because I was gonna speak about this later on, but we'll do this now. They did do a blog for the new, and I haven't even read this yet, so this can go hand in hand with it. They did an update on the blog on some of the Christmas Day stuff. They've got Christmas Day cards coming. As you can see, there's a Bronson unique. I think he's the only one that they're going to be doing in the unique streets for it. Special edition cards like we've mentioned. 300 limits, 30 res, 3 super res, and a unique up for sale. The special slate of Christmas Day games. So this is, what was the drubbing that you was going to say was going to come from, Louis?
The Warriors are in a better form now, but I think the Warriors Nuggets could go very poorly. But some of those young guys, they seem to be getting into themselves a little bit more in Draymond's absence, which still we don't actually know when he's coming back. Right? I think they said at least 3 weeks.
He's not coming back this year, is he? He's not coming back in 2023.
So their size is just not all there really. So that was the one that I thought of, but the other ones are pretty close. It'd be nice to see the Suns actually have their full team at some stage, but it just doesn't seem. And the Bulls could be that's another one because the Celtics, not the Celtics, the Sixers, and particularly Joe Embiid's on a absolutely hot streak right now.
Yeah, Embiid's playing arguably the best basketball Embiid's probably ever played, is what you can almost go to the point of, because he's actually playing a really good PER as well.
I know. And I know they've had easy games the last week or so. They had like the Pistons twice, the Wizards and that. But they beat the Timberwolves last night, and that's not something. I mean, that's only a thing that 6 other teams have managed to do so far this season. So
the whole slate that was coming out, the things with Embiid was that he was doing it against like Detroit and Charlotte and Washington, and it was like, okay, now here's your big game. And I know the Timberwolves in every other year wouldn't be it, but the Timberwolves have genuinely been really, really good this year. So that was a good game for him to then go out and absolutely perform for it. So I mean, as Christmas Day games, and I mean the Bulls rolled over the Lakers yesterday. So as Christmas Day games go, it's a pretty goddamn good slate, but they always are, aren't they?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Who's going to go on some tangent then? I mean, if we'll break these down as well whilst we go into it, because we're merging so rare in Christmas at the minute. That's what we're doing on this podcast. Clearly, now we're going off whim. Bucks, Knicks. Who would you have there? I think I'd go Bucks.
Oh yeah, I mean they played each other in in-season tournament, right? We said the same thing. Jalen Brunson probably have a big game on that one. On the Silver side of things, we've got Jalen Brunson. I guess I'd play him there. But they are getting better. I think the Bucks have put it together a little bit more since the in-season tournament. I'm not sure about you. That was obviously quite a big disappointment.
This handsome fella, you mean? This handsome fella.
Yeah, he could go for a big one.
Yeah, he definitely could. I think also that Jalen Brunson unique card will probably go for a big one. I don't think I've ever done Christmas cards, even on the football and the baseball side. So maybe we'll talk to that one. And yeah, that's absolutely it. They have no big men. Exactly. I don't know. Isaiah Hartenstein even went off injured, didn't he? Jericho Sims was down.
Jericho Sims is injured. Mitchell Robinson's obviously. So
could you imagine if they do what it always used to get touted at some of the Olympic level on Team USA, of like Josh Hart playing the 5. I think just Randall will cover it, and then they'll end up moving. That's normally when they used to bring Obi Toppin in, but he's not even there anymore. So God knows what's going to happen.
4 years ago, when you could get away with small ball, but I don't think you can anymore. Unfortunately,
I don't think if you run Josh Hart,
playing quite a bit. They
did bring Taj Gibson back, didn't they? Yeah, they did bring him back. If you can imagine, you can just imagine Giannis playing against Josh Hart in the 5 there. That'd be some that's some noon. That's 5 p.m. slot over here in the UK as well. So that's nice. Really juicy. That the Denver Warriors game, like we said earlier on. I mean, Denver have looked good. They've not looked like the Denver we all know, and that's also because Jokic hasn't been sort of like putting up triple doubles every single night recently, which we've kind of come to expect from him. Which is when you see him do like a 28. 8 and 6 night, you're like, oh damn, he played bad, which speaks to the caliber of the level he is. But that's what we've been seeing with Denver. But they've slowly been chipping away, and obviously the Warriors are going to be the Warriors this year. So do you see anything? Can you see like a Steph remontada performance, or do you think this is just going to be the Denver dub?
With Denver, I feel like there probably is a bit of energy conservation there, and even last season you could see it a little bit towards the stretch where I think they have their eyes firmly on a specific prize. So I think there could be a Warriors upset. I think, a Warriors with something to prove, considering the amount of criticism they've been in for this season. But if you had to ask me, I'd just say Jokic probably smashes anything that the Warriors can throw at them. Particularly, I guess, on a Christmas day. I'm not sure if Jokic is particularly enamored with performing for the cameras, so you say. But he's not going to want to look poor on Christmas Day, is he, particularly? It's an interesting matchup, I guess, for Christmas. It's not something that I would have... It's not like a real rivalry between the Golden State Warriors and the Denver Nuggets, from what I can see. That's why I was like, oh, maybe throw some Memphis Golden State in there, but you have to have the champions, obviously. But the Nuggets are just so docile; they don't really like fight with anyone, just miles better than everyone else. So, I'd go for the Nuggets on that one personally.
Yeah, I've just sent a little message over to our friend Lewis just to see where he is, because we're going to wait and see this, but it's getting slightly concerning at this point for his well-being of where he is. He's even on the thumbnail this week. Damn it! I mean, the classic one of this here of Boston Lakers. Yeah. I can't help but go for a Boston win here. I don't trust the Lakers. I don't know what it is. I just don't do it.
Yeah, you've got something against the Lakers this year, Percy, and I'm usually the man who's like,
we have flipped roles. I'll give you that. I don't know what it is. I just feel that I haven't been impressed by the consistency of AD at this time, and last year I
think he's been really quite good actually.
But I think he's not really overwhelmed me, I'd say. And even the trades that they made, there was such a sort of bandwagon with the Lakers this season, I felt, in terms of what they'd done, that people were almost overhyping them, and I just didn't trust them. And that's what's happened. But at the same time, I mean, Boston have dropped some games they shouldn't have, but the Lakers' regular season record has been terrible. Outside of the IST, it's been shocking.
It's all right. It's not that bad.
Is it? It was 7-0. They're like, aren't they like, what's their rate? If you exclude the IST games, I think they're like 12-8 or something. Not even that.
But you can't exclude the IST games, really, can you? That's like a big part of the season, and they won.
But do you not think now it's like a mentality thing with them?
I mean, I'm never sure they're going to take the regular season too seriously, because they have to get those guys to the playoffs to stand any chance. I think they need a trade, personally. I agree.
The Lakers.
I don't think their off-season moves has really markedly improved them, particularly. Gabe Vincent hasn't really played very much, which is unfortunate.
He's been injured, isn't he? Yeah.
But, who you're dangling there if you're the Lakers? Who's the big asset that someone's going to want to touch? I think you'd say Austin Reeves, but then I kind of want to keep Austin Reeves. I wouldn't trade Austin Reeves for Zach LaVine, personally. So,
it's some of the, they don't even play Vanderbilt much. Like, he's back now. He said in an interview, he was like, I don't even know if I'm on a minutes restriction, because he gets like 15 minutes a night recently.
It's a comment there about Rui. I agree. I like Rui as well. He was great in the playoffs as well last year. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not as disappointed with them as you are, because like I said, I don't ever expect them to really take the regular season too seriously. But I think there was, I guess, an expectation from them that they would be closer towards that one seed. But I mean, we said this in the last podcast, that I felt that I wouldn't be shocked if the Timberwolves made the Western Conference Finals. I still wouldn't be either. But that kind of highlights the fact that I other than the Nuggets, I'm not really sure who I'm sure on in the Western Conference, if that makes sense. If I saw the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, I wouldn't be too surprised either. But I think they would need to make a trade as well. Lakers still can get there for me. They were there last year, obviously. They've got the size. That's the thing that I always come back to. Do you have the size to deal with someone like Jokic? And I know they got bounced by swept literally in the playoffs last year, but I still think they're one of the better teams who can match up against them. So I'm still got some faith in there. That D'Angelo Russell as well. That's another component that I feel like. The Clippers, yeah, that's a good point as well. That's a good reminder.
Jump shoots coming out here right now with nothing but straight fire.
Yeah,
takes. That's what you're going to go for it. I mean, the Clippers were always going to improve. They weren't just going to be absolutely terrible after getting James Harden. It was going to snap. They had that losing streak, and it was going to eventually change. They probably just James Harden was losing the 4 stone that he put on. But I think also with that, when they moved Westbrook to the bench, it then gave them sort of 2 solid sort of 5s that you can have that main one and that backup one, and it worked for them. I mean they've got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and James Harden. They should be winning the there comes a point where it just balances itself out. Is ultimately it.
But it is just Kawhi, isn't it? Right? It's like he's just been unbelievable over the last couple of weeks.
We don't fat shame. He just quit. No one quits like James Harden quits, and to do so, he puts on tons of weight. That's pretty much it. Every time he leaves a team, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go in. There's always that picture that comes out where you see he's got like somewhat of a belly all of a sudden, and then that's what happens.
He's never like. I mean, I can't remember him ever being in truly unbelievable shape. Can you? Like,
What, like in terms
Like,
of
so,
like looking really good, like ripped? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying? Or
yeah.
like,
I'm not
no,
sure if he's got the body type to be like a
no,
rip
he's
player.
not. He's not that sort of. He's not like he hasn't got that athleticism levels. That's not what he's known for. Like, you know,
No.
but that's not him. That's not what. When you see like the Kawhi Leonard muscle defining shots that you always come out at game times, that's what you see. This is going down a very strange road in terms of the conversation of body physique, and I'm not sure that we're the people to really critique on it.
No, probably not.
But we've gone. So far, we've gone for a Bucks win, a Denver win, a Celtics win, Sixers v Bulls. Now, in theory, this should just be a Sixers win comfortably, I'd say. But the Bulls have actually looked pretty good recently. Since their biggest trade asset's gone down, the Bulls have suddenly looked quite good.
Yeah, probably not helping matters, is it? But yeah, I think Embiid just smashed his piece.
I think Embiid on Vucevic is, and if Vucevic has a big old Christmas dinner, it's going to be hard for Vucevic to be dealing with Joel. I feel Joel's going to want to, especially because he's not solidified MVP by any stretch, but he is leading the race. And these games you do remember these sort of marquee games that come about. So this is going to be a big old one for him indeed. And then finally we got Dallas v Phoenix. I don't think this is as easy as it sounds as well, because obviously Dallas are going to be without Kyrie. Phoenix is still going to be without Bradley Beal because I think he's out for like another 2 weeks now, is the last thing that I saw. And I mean, I think Eric Gordon's back. Yeah, Eric Gordon's back. I would still suspect that the Suns win this game, but this, again, like we've just said, in terms of players wanting to put something on, this is a game where you could see like a Luka Doncic 40-point triple-double quite comfortably. Not that isn't out of the stretch of ordinary, but
in front of the cameras, right? You know, yeah, exactly. That's what they are, isn't it? Really, it's just Luka goes off, and that's kind of their team. To be honest, obviously missing Lively as well. He's been quite good for them this season. I think they hit on that draft pick, and they put a lot of faith in him to be their sort of big for the season. So that's unfortunate, but I don't know. There's something about the Suns that I've not liked since preseason. I'll admit that. I'll go into.
Is it that they don't play? Is it that they don't play Bol enough? That's what I don't like about the Suns, if I'm being totally honest.
I just, you know what I don't like about it. I've said it loads of times. I just don't think the going to work. I just don't. I mean, it's definitely not going to work if they can't actually play all three of them together. Yeah. That's a large concern at this stage than I had. But yeah,
I mean, what have they had? They've had 2 games together, right? Without not even full games.
No. I think it's been like 25 minutes. That's what I mean. Yeah. So. How's that going to work? Well, I mean, we'll see. But when they've got Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they're still really good. I mean, those are 2 incredible players. So they pushed Denver to 6 games last year with those 2. So, but yeah, I just can't take them seriously for now, which is why that Western Conference Finals place is so up in the air for me.
I've just completely forgot that we're still on the So Rare Medium article for this. We're just discussing the Christmas Day schedule. So they do actually have a Christmas Day competition. I think last year they had like Deck the Halls and you could play every scarcity. This one, it's a day when the magic of Christmas meets the thrill of basketball. That's some prime copyright if I've ever heard it right now. A refresh on how the competition will work. Only players participating in these games. Okay, so you've got 10 teams to pick from. 120 cap and an MVP. I believe it's one. Is it 120 for champion? I should know that. I think it's 120 in any case. 2 cards must be the new ones. Special edition cards are not required to enter this. Common, limited, rare, super rare, and unique. And first place will receive a Jalen Brunson signed merch pack. I don't know what that'll be. I assume it'll be a basketball and a jersey and some other stuff. But that's pretty cool. And also NBA store cards for it as well. Winner, Brunson Pro card and Perez player picks. Yeah, obviously, World Wide Wob is out there in terms of using his platform, his existence. He is an ambassador for So Rare, I believe, this year. That was the deal that they signed with him. So what's this going to be? Let me read through. Jalen Brunson for the New York Knicks. If your friends have yet signed up to So Rare. Oh, wow. And if you haven't signed up to So Rare, there's going to be a link for it in the description down below. There you go. For all the Brunson Knicks fans out there, the Stars Unique card is up for sale for the special edition design, offering fans a one-of-a-kind opportunity to own a piece of his legacy. Ends on Christmas Day. That's a damn good present if you can afford that. I have no idea how much that's going to go for. I don't know how much his last year's card would have sold for his unique one, if it did even sell, because they didn't release some of the uniques for all of them. But that would be a nice one indeed. Perez continues to provide So Rare player picks and tips to your community. Spoiler alert, he'll soon post under the radar players in your roster as well. I mean, I'm also going to be always doing them as well with Mike on the So Rare Sharps in any case. And I think that's it. So I think there's one competition, or they've done it for common, limited rare, and super rare and uniques. But that's that. So there's going to be some Christmas ones. I'll probably be looking at picking some of them up. In any case, I think that might be perfect timing to move on from the So Rare stuff, because I believe our companion is here. Let me just quickly bring him in, and then let's sort out the brand stuff that we've got currently going on, and remove that. And wow, just like that, how flawless it was. How you doing, Lewis? Are you all okay?
Apologies for that. I got a bit mixed up, but I'm in now, I guess. So ready to go.
I mean, look, first question. I don't know what's happened there. I picked the question up and it's ruined our lovely overlay. But Budwin's asking, what's popping across the pond? Yeah, I think he's all good. What's popping across the pond? Lewis, what is popping across the pond? Let the people know.
I don't know. Just not much happening across the pond, really. The weather's a bit terrible, but apart from that, just more talking about what's going on the other side of the basketball, really.
Yeah, that's what we want to know. That's the other side of the pond for it. There hasn't been much. Normally, we've had snow this time of year. That's normally what pops.
No, not really. I think it's a common misconception that the UK experiences snow in December. No,
we normally definitely get. We definitely get some snow around this time. 100%.
It honestly, I'd say I think in in
Scotland,
London, not really. In London, not really.
Yeah, I
would say twice in the last 10 years we've had snow in December.
No, it's more than that.
There's a little fact. There's a little fact for you. No, I'm hailing in where is that in America? You're talking about
hailing. Goodwin, where are you? I can't remember the last time we had hail.
Yeah,
hail's dangerous as well. Seek a lovely, warm place to protect yourself from the hail. I don't know where I was going with that.
Hail when I went to Florida, it was particularly large. It'd be like the size of golf balls. They've got some funny weather out in Florida. The Netherlands, okay.
The Netherlands, indeed. I don't know why it's moving us up when we pick a comment. I've never noticed that before. But in any case, so Howard, unfortunately, mate, you've already missed the discussion that we've had on the NBA games at Christmas. We've already gone through them, and me and Louis, using our expert opinions, have decided what of the 5 teams are going to be winning on Christmas Day. But I mean, just we'll up that to it. The NBA, we basically said we love the NBA at Christmas because for the guys of us here in the UK and also Europe, we actually get some sort of friendly game times. And normally, if you're not sort of off your face on eggnog or whatever you drink on Christmas, in a food coma, you can kick back. And normally, it's normally the Bucks are always on early. I remember that every single year. And we were just talking about that. But what's sort of your favourite thing about the NBA at Christmas?
Well,
that's a lovely question.
I guess one thing is obviously because when we're looking at sports in the UK, football is obviously the first one to come to mind. Obviously, we don't have any football games on Christmas Day, so it fills that sort of gap in between.
The Super League isn't here yet, so maybe we get that eventually. But
yeah, I'm sure everyone's got some choice words about that. Yeah. That's divided opinion, but yeah, mainly just because, as you say, I think the Christmas games usually start at like early evening, don't they? So
it's 5 p.m.
for us.
It's noon Eastern, so it'll be 5 p.m. our time.
Yeah. So obviously time friendly being one, and then the other one just having our sport filled for the day because no other sport or the main sports in the UK anyway really get played on Christmas Day. So
is there any NFL games on Christmas Day, or do they?
I think there is. Yeah, I think there's. I want to say they play one or two, maybe. If there's any NFL fans, then if you want to tell us now.
There's definitely at least an Eagles game on Christmas Day, I do believe, because I've seen it stuff with Philly for it. I don't know if it's in Philly or if it's. I think they're playing the Giants, is what it is. But there's definitely, that's the main thing. There's NFL, because it's a strange thing, obviously, that we don't have it, but it's a strange thing to think about going to a sports event. Oh, it's a night game, 49ers v Ravens.
Yeah,
it's a strange thing to consider having, like, could you imagine if, like, Arsenal are playing West Ham on Christmas Day, Louis? Did you ever conceive that? That's not something that just Brits have as a thing.
Yeah, I'd go. Yeah, that's fine, man. I think it's a good idea, but I also understand why we don't do it. But I thought I wasn't sure if there was NFL games on Christmas. I thought the NBA had kind of carved out that niche for themselves, but I'm surprised to see that there are. Maybe,
because the NBA is normally terrified of going up against the NFL.
Oh, exactly.
That's what it always seems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. In fairness, NFL's like considerably bigger, but yeah. So yeah, that surprises me, but I like it.
Christmas is all about converting your family into NBA fans and so rare fans. I think that's where we should be going with that one as well, Goodwin. Come on. Sweet 1 p.m. Continental time games. Yeah, that's what I always remember from it in any case too. Before we dive into our usual segment of talking about stocks falling and rising. And if you haven't picked anyone off the top of your head, we'll just chat about it in any case. But I wanted to speak about Ja Morant because Ja Morant has come back into the league. And he was also told that he wasn't going to be playing crazy minutes, was what the phrase was used. And he played like over 32, I think, or something like that. So that went out the window. So I don't know what crazy minutes meant, if that means it. But it's good to have Ja Morant back in the league, right? Do you think now, and obviously this is a mental question for it, from considering how their season's been, are the Grizzlies still within a sniff of playoffs or playing at minimum, do you think?
I'll have to check, but what I will say is, when we talk about the minutes, we'll go with that first. At the end of the day, the issue standing the Grizzlies in the face is that without Ja Morant in their team, they are currently one of the worst teams in the league. So it's not like they really have much of a choice if they're deciding they want to be competitive this year, which I think, especially having a player like Ja Morant, he's going to push them to be. They don't have a choice. They have to play him if they want to be within a chance, as you say, of getting into maybe even a play. I'm just bringing up the standings now. So I mean,
they're 7-19. They're sitting in 13th, and the Lakers. I mean, the Pelicans are holding down 7th with 16 wins, so 9 behind them. It's a big gap to make up, especially in the West.
Yeah, then if you look at the play-in, that's a bit of a prettier picture, albeit still, it's like saying you can't polishing a turd or something. Like, it's not a pretty picture regardless, but they're not as far back from 10th. And I think the issue is when you look at the teams below or in those lower positions, you see the Suns, you probably think, I think most people would say that they're going to have, by the end of the season, a better ratio than they've currently got at the moment with that 14-13. The Lakers, again, are a little bit lower. I think really for them, they'll have to hope that, one, they can really turn it around to the point that I think they'd have to be winning at a rate similar to what they were last year. I think most people would say that's probably not going to be the case. So then you have to look at teams maybe like, let's say, maybe the Warriors or the Rockets potentially to drop off a bit so they can start making those gains. It's definitely a tough ask. And I think if you told me now, I'd probably say they're probably not going to do it. But, I mean, Ja's such a great player. We saw the first game back, the impact he had. That maybe they can, but I would lean towards
we're talking about that. They were the 2nd seed, right, last year?
Yeah.
So these are not bums. I know they've been terrible and they've missed their ringleader, but this is a good core. I know Dylan Brooks is not there and there's a few other changes that have been made. But ultimately, you're running with Bane, Morant, and Triple J, right? This team, they're looking at the Rockets, and I know the Rockets are improved, but I'm taking them over the Rockets even right now. They're making up 6-7 games on them, I feel, comfortably. Not comfortably, but they're making it up on them.
The thing is, as I said, when I was going through the maybe obtainable teams, it isn't just one they're going to have to overtake. Well, they're 13th now. It's going to have to be 3 or 4 at least. And while I do think they can do it, I think the deficit, it is a lot to overcome. So, as I say, I would lean towards no. But, I mean, if they do, as you said, fully fit, if maybe these first 26 games weren't played, I would definitely say, yeah, they're gonna make it. But I'm not so sure at the moment.
Yeah, you have to consider as well, like, he'll miss probably, I'd say, about 10 to 15 games a season, something like that, usually for injury. He's going to get injured at something because he's just like
the type of player he's so explosive. Yeah,
exactly. He's going through a lot of contact, trying to finish at the rim a lot of times. It's just like a heavy load on like a small player. It's quite
and I mean, if he loads up IG live, then he might.
Yeah, exactly. There's another. Obviously, we still don't know about that, do we? We don't know how he's sort of received the ban. If it was too much, whatever. I don't know. I have to lean towards no as well, but I think I'm not entirely sure about Houston, but they're in a lot of games that are close and they're good at home. They're just terrible away. They're a team that's a potential trade candidate. I feel like if they got someone else in there, maybe giving up a little bit on Jalen Green. He still doesn't seem quite ready for the occasion if they want to be that team at this moment in time. But I have to lean towards no, because the West is such a bloodbath. I think someone in the comments said if it's the East, maybe they can make up that ground, because the bottom of the East is just so tragic. Yeah, it's a good comment. But the West is tough. It's a bit of a hellhole. So. But it's good to see him back. I think we'll all agree with that, and that was a great way for him to come back with a game winner. The season before last, I think people were sort of hanging there. He's going to be sort of like one of the faces of the league. You know, his social media presence is obviously quite large because of his highlights and everything like that. And he's just a great player. So I'm happy to see him back, and I hope they do well, and I hope they go on a run, which shows how good they are. But it's just difficult in the Western Conference, unfortunately.
I just hope he's had his Instagram locked off of him. And that's what I'll say.
We all hope mentally he's in a better place than he was last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's all of that stuff that goes with it, and everyone wishes him well. But I think it just also now he needs to realise that he can't. I think there's a certain point where I think if it happens again, it's going to be quite a hard sell to go back again. I think he'll always be fine in that regard. But I mean, I don't know what on earth. I don't want to talk about the ban of what it could be, but because he's just come back and all this sort of stuff. But he needs to. He'll know this himself as well. I feel that the interview that he gave when he first came back, it does seem like he has grown up a little bit for it, but we'll wait and see. Time will only tell on that one.
It's kind of along a similar topic, but I can't remember which article it was about Draymond. But they were saying that the next time Draymond does something, it could be like a season-long ban, genuinely, because they're just so tired of in a way, Draymond's always been a bit like this. I think so. I think that's a bit much, but they're also just clearly quite tired of his antics, really. Given the fact that he's got sort of a ban, we don't know how long it's going to last for at the moment. It's that was an interesting. I just thought an interesting point that I saw.
It's semi annoyed me that they didn't just give him an actual game suspension. I don't know why they've gone on the. Obviously,
he already got a game suspension. He's got 2 game suspensions already this season.
No, I know, but it was more of that. Adam Silver being he's suspended indefinitely, and then he's getting seeking help and going on from all of this route. And obviously, there's deeper things at play. Yes, that's the route. But it just seems that they didn't know how many games to suspend him for. So we're just going to say he's gone for a while, and then he'll randomly appear again. That's what it's going to be like.
Yeah, I think it's just them essentially just trying to make it as ambiguous as possible, so they have more time to decide what outcome they want. Really, it is what it is at the end of the day. I think the comparison between the Draymond situation and the Jar one, it's tough.
I'm not comparing them. I'm not comparing them. They're completely different.
Louis brought up the point before about maybe accumulative suspensions, and obviously with Draymond, it's all on the court stuff.
Yeah,
and I think that's they build up because it's obviously kind of doing the same thing, maybe getting the same rap for the same thing. Whereas Jar, obviously, it's alleged off the court stuff. So I feel like that's handled very differently. So I'm not sure that would really have sort of accumulation thing that you have with the Draymond situation.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, I think there's nothing else that I necessarily wanted to arc on about for that one. So, we'll pull up our world-renowned video. Let's talk some stock rises. God damn it, I left loops on it. Done it again. It's my fault there. Anyway, this is part of the podcast where we talk about whose stocks are rising within the NBA. And I mean, do you know what, Lewis? Considering you were late, I'm going to allow you to have the floor first. Yeah. And maybe that's an annoying thing to you because you might not have one off the top of your head.
I've got it. I've got one off
the top of my head. Oh, he's got it. Right. The floor is yours.
I think it's a nice setup because it might have been the last one or the one before where actually on stocks falling, I had the Clippers because of how they started. I think they lost the first 5 games, maybe 0-5, 1-5 win with James Harden. And now they're on a pretty incredible run at the moment. They're getting wins left, right, and centre. And I think the most impressive thing has been with James Harden in the starting role now, and Russ obviously taking a back seat very much, he's flourishing in that role. And also, I think more importantly, we're seeing Kawhi play some of his best basketball now that he has this season. And when you look at that team and you see, because I'm not worried about PG personally, I think PG will be fine. I know obviously he's got his injury issues as well, but when I look at Harden, I look at Kawhi, and they're performing on a consistent basis, and then you've got PG as well. And I know maybe you could say Russ obviously hasn't been performing that well in that bench role. He's had his moments, but I think as a cohesive unit, they look like they can be one of the best teams in the league at the moment. It's obviously early days, and I wouldn't pick them to be in the conference finals, but I think the trajectory or there is a path forward to that potentially being the end, and that's all you can ask at the moment.
Yeah, I probably should have said this. Me and Louis did speak a little bit on the Clippers, I think, when you weren't here.
Well, that's unfortunate.
But to be honest, you basically said, and you affirmed the stuff that we mentioned about and how good the Clippers have been since James Harden now has come back into it and done everything. And I think in general, though, this is what we almost expect of the Clippers every year, that they've kind of got good depth to a point. They've lost a little bit of the strength that they had, but they've still got nice little pieces that can come in. Zubac, Norm Powell, like they've got players around there. I mean, but is Bones Highland still at the Clippers? I've completely forgotten about him. Highland, I feel like he still is. He just doesn't get any minutes.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't get any minutes. He makes the ball all the time.
Yeah, he's there or thereabouts, and that's what the Clippers and that we expect of them. But because of what we've seen of the Clippers now for a certain number of years, and also what we know of James Harden, to a lesser extent of what he did last year with Philly, where the Clippers can literally only be judged on in playoff time. I feel like they can do so much in the regular season, but it'll always be thrown at them for this, primarily because of the team that they've got and what they've done. But yeah, the stocks are rising 100%. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
It's the same old story as, like, for example, at the start of this season, when I did the initial tiers for where I had the teams ranked, I had the Clippers relatively high, obviously not the top echelon, but very high, purely based off the roster that they had. And I feel that's the story for the past few years. So that's why people are skeptical, why you want to see it in the playoffs. But I've got to give them credit where it's due at the moment, because they were doing so badly and have turned it around relatively quickly.
Louis, who have you got currently within the NBA that you'd say, since we last spoke, has had their stocks rising?
I'm going to say the Thunder, the OKC Thunder. Only because they've had, I guess, they've been good all season, but they've had there was one particular victory against the Denver Nuggets. I think it was this week that I think put them in a position for me where I hadn't really seen them before. I saw them as sort of playoff hopefuls, maybe like a firm home court team. But like I said earlier in the podcast, I think there's a Western Conference final spot up for grabs for a number of teams. And I think they could be there with the right path, if, the right passage. And then if they get in another player, I think for the size to accompany Chet Holmgren, because as great as Chet has been this season, I guess we can wax lyrical about him and his defensive and his offensive contributions as well. I just think he needs some help on the sort of bald side of things and the muscle, and you don't really want him banging up against someone like Jokic or Davis in the playoffs. So that side is important, and I think they need someone like that. I'm not sure who that could be, but they've got a lot of assets. They've got a lot of draft picks. Anyone that they can sort of like come out with, I think would be beneficial for them. Even someone like Daniel Gafford from the Wizards, I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
But I also quite like, if they were really going to go big swing, someone like Markkanen on this team, I think would be great. And it's not really providing, I think.
Where would he play though?
I mean, you'd have to play Chet at the 5 and then...
You go and Chet 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that would have to be it. It's not exactly doing what I'm saying, but I just think like someone like Markkanen, if you can go and get him, you kind of just do. Because of his scoring ability, his ability to space the floor. But I think, this team hangs on the fact that SGA can get to his spots and score with the best of them. That Nuggets game particularly, where he hits that shot at the end. Once he gets to that spot, I just feel like it's going to go in 9 times out of 10, more so than I guess someone like Steph, who his sort of like late game qualities have been debated quite a lot of the time, but I feel like SGA just has that trademark shot that he can go to, and he can score in the fourth quarter. But I just think they need more size to keep up with teams when it gets a little bit slower in the playoff times, and rebounder becomes a bit more of an important thing. Because they've already got Chet's rim protection and everything like that, and they can be a good defensive team. Just SGA's with his steals as well. He's like a steal above, I think, anyone else.
That's the nuts stat I've seen. I think he's averaging 2.8, which is bananas. Is no one is near him on the steals on that steals leaderboard for it.
Yeah, we all know they have a great young team, withstanding some of the concern, I guess, against one of their players. But like in general, they've got a great young team. You would say their window is not now, but if they're good enough to be in that type of position, why not go all for it, right? So yeah, they're my stock rising at this moment in time because I'm taking them a bit more seriously.
Yeah, SGA has got a deep bag, that's for sure. I think the one that I'd be picking, and it's probably a boring one, but it is going to be the Boston Celtics. I just feel like they're consistently building upon getting that sort of that five that they've got with KP and Drew, and obviously what they've had beforehand. It's consistently getting better, and they're just improving. And now they're taking teams to the sword. Like what they did to the Kings last night was outrageous.
Yeah, the bad one against the Warriors a couple nights.
They did. They had a blip. And this is going to happen because they are still merging, and you're not seeing sort of the mental night. Like last year, it was almost that Jason Tatum would have a big night, and then it'd be Jaylen Brown, and then no one would, and then they'd have they never really done it together. There was never a point where both of them went off. It was one or the other. That's the impression that I got. And you see, like last night, they had 5 people get 20 plus points. Like Peyton Pritchard's coming in and chipping 20 in. Sam Hauser this year has been really, really good for them in key moments, especially with his spacing and shooting. And I just feel like that there's I can't see even at how Philly are playing and how Milwaukee are playing. When Dame sets in and they're running it back with Giannis, I can't see any of these being better than Boston. I just can't. No. That 5 that they've got with Drew and KP, like it is so good how they're playing. Like the Pacers have tailed off a little bit, so I'm not even going to talk about them for that one. But the 2 main threats coming out of that conference, I think they're miles better than them. I really do.
Yeah, I think as well, someone who I would also single out is, I think we saw it last year, but we're seeing it more this year, and maybe it's to do with, I know people talk about some of the shortcomings that Marcus Smart had when he was at the Celtics. Obviously, he's a fantastic player, defensive player of the year, candidate basically every year. But I think you're seeing maybe the impact he's having on the offense of Drew Holiday and Derek White, especially playing at the level he's playing at, I think has really elevated this team, obviously along with KP as well, to a level of offense that they just couldn't reach before. They've got so many more options, so many more people can make a play. And I think that really helps Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown especially find their way with this team. And I think that's only going to improve as the season goes on.
I think there is a small part of me that still doesn't really, really trust Jason Tatum in the best player against your best player conversations, if I'm honest. That's just me. I think until I see it,
he's inconsistent, I would say, but I think that what they've done with their moves and how this team can now function means that maybe if Tatum has an off night, it can be compensated for by the other players more so now than what they were. And it just means, because when we look to playoff teams and how coaches, try to manage against each other and look at their strengths and weaknesses, it just makes the Celtics a harder team to game plan for. And I think that can be the edge in a lot of those really tight playoff games.
Yeah, for sure. Cautious of time, so we're going to move now on to our stock fallers. Part of the podcast, obviously, well, we've just had our rises. Now we speak about who within the NBA and their stocks are falling. And do you know what, boys? I'm going to take the first one, and it's pretty much the obvious one. But until they fix their shit, I'm going to keep going at them. Detroit, a 24 losing game streak. That is unacceptable for any sport within the world. to be that bad, having the highest paid coach within the league, having Cade, they've got nice pieces, right? The mentality that must be in that locker room after or going into a game right now must be on the absolute floor. If they go down 10 within the first quarter, they must think the game's over.
Yeah, well, couldn't blame them, could you really, I guess?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even think it's going in down 10 in the game. I think even before the game,
they're probably going.
I think a lot of the time they've convinced themselves we're just going out here to lose, really, at this point. So it's a hard, once the avalanche starts, I think it can be a very difficult thing to get out from under. Obviously, there's that, and then there's a 25-game losing streak. But it's definitely something that I think you really have to mentally get over the hump of.
I mean, it's not even that. I mean, can you just imagine you're sitting there and you're Cade Cunningham or you're Jaden Ivey or you're Jalen Duran. Your thoughts on all of those players, as young as they are, I'm not even going to talk about Killian Hayes, but your thoughts on all of those players that are there. Could you imagine you're losing all of this and you're like, we need some help. Right, we need some experience, and they come in and they bring Kevin Knox in. Like, could you genuinely imagine that? Like that just the play, that place mentally must be terrible right now. I mean, they've got a decent run coming up and all, but
yeah, you said the highest paid coach in the NBA is the highest paid coach in NBA history.
Yeah, like,
just saying.
It's just mental. It's absolutely mental.
I mean, I think there'll be conversations, I guess, about is Cade the guy? You know, the guy that they're going to have to pay him at some stage, sort of max money. Is it just a really bad scenario for him? The spacing is obviously terrible. He's not really a particularly explosive player, so he's kind of relying on his jump shot. His jump shot's not been good. So I mean, he had a career high, I think, a couple nights ago, right? Something like that. So that was.
Sure.
Okay, I guess
he had 40 odd points against the Hawks, and
that was.
I mean, if you can't drop 30 plus against Trae Young, then you're not a very good guy.
But we kind of got to take some positives, though. I guess I think they could be an exciting young team, like you said. He doesn't play the young players. You said about Jaden Ivey, think about bringing Kevin Knox in. Kevin Knox is thinking, they're not bring Jaden Ivey in. He plays like 5 minutes a game.
They moved Jaden Ivey to the bench
as well.
They moved Jaden Ivey to the bench for Killian Hayes. What happened to the Santa
Where
hat?
is the Santa hat?
The Santa hat's here, and it was because it was quite tight on my head. So
that's unfortunate.
Got a big old head.
But yeah, I mean, what can we say? They're just terrible, aren't they? We could do a stock riser for the 3 worst teams in this league. I won't do because actually I might do my next.
Well, I'll tell you what, Louis. If you don't, I will.
Okay.
Here's your one. What pick are you going? Are you going down to Washington? Or are you going all right, go on.
No, I wasn't going to go Washington. I wasn't going to go.
Do yours.
No, you know what? It just should be the Spurs, shouldn't it? We haven't given them it. We haven't given them it. I was going to say the Cavs again. Actually, I think I said the Cavs last time, but it was more in the sense that they're probably going to be a stock for them because I feel like they're going to trade Donovan.
They're going to trade.
So that was another thing. But I'll say the Spurs because it's just been a really bizarre decision-making process just in Wemby's first season, really. I know that they probably never expected to be good, and neither did the Pistons, probably. But they probably don't. No one tries to lose that much. You've got to be like actively have made some really bad mistakes to lose that many games, if I'm quite honest. They obviously had this experiment with I mean, I don't like to say our beloved Jeremy Sohan from the UK, but as a point guard, he just it didn't work.
That was the issue. And I think that's the issue with the Spurs. Sorry, just to butt in quick, but I think that's the main point is it feels like the Spurs don't have a team where they can actually run an offense properly. And I think you saw that by them trying to shoehorn Jeremy Sohan in as a point guard to try and sort it out. But I think a lot of people, and I think Spurs fans especially, when we're getting quite angry with it because you'd see plays where, for example, Wemby was wide open or had an advantageous position. A lot of the time, maybe they just didn't see it or didn't take advantage or just give him the ball enough. And that is obviously somewhere where if you had a true point guard or even maybe just a vet player who could sort of fulfill that role, it might work a little bit better because at the end of the day, it's not Jerry Sohan's fault. That's not his position. He's not playing where he should be played, and it's just because when you look at this roster. And I think even more so than the Pistons, who are even worse, which is saying something. When you look at this roster, it just doesn't look like it's going to function well outside of obviously Wemby just being a complete anomaly. And I saw, and the reason why I think you do need to add more light to it is after the first few games when we saw Wemby play, there was a lot of talk about people saying, could they maybe sneak a potential play in or challenge for that this year? And the answer is a resounding no. And I think for me, the main reason is the roster is just not constructed in a way where they can play at the level that the other teams that are even in like 10th or 9th can play at.
I mean, I still think that Sohan and Wemby can play together. I don't think it's that this just doesn't work.
Yeah, but just not in the way they have.
Not as a point guard. It doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been so many clips, like you mentioned, where you'll see Wemby cutting, and he's gonna always, whoever it is, there's like 3 guys probably in the league that you're gonna be like, maybe that's gonna be a tough one to dunk on there, Wemby. Every time he's cutting, and they never ever give him the ball for it. There's been so many of those clips that have come out for it. The Spurs just need to. It's the beginning of the process. It's everything that's happening. Welcome to the journey of the NBA Wemby. But
it's just been weird. I understand somewhat why they were doing the Sohan thing, because they want him to develop as like a player, playmaking responsibility. But it was just the persistence with it. And I also found I don't think we ever talked about it. When Kawhi was playing there and the fans were booing him and he got the mic and was like, "Oh, don't boo it." I found that bizarre. I don't know. Is that not really strange?
I think it's
a culture thing.
I think it's just because Pop's got such a relationship with Kawhi.
I thought he ended quite badly there, if I'm quite honest. But maybe not personally between them. But I seem to remember him not being.
I think it's ended bad. You can tell it's ended badly there from the booing, but I assume Pop and that's where it's gone from it. They're not gonna fire.
I just thought it was strange.
They're not gonna fire Pop. I can tell you that. They're not going to be doing that.
No.
It's just it's currently it's just what the Spurs are for it, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, they're always gonna lose, but it's just the way they've done it. I think has confused a lot of people.
Right, we've got one more before we get ourselves out of here. What's the final stock falling?
Yeah, I would have said Spurs, to be honest. But
okay, right. Well, thanks for watching, and
yeah. But if I had to pick another one, I mean, we can just while we're having a go at all the terrible teams in the league, I can just throw the Wizards in there because I know.
Yeah, do you know what? Do it. Let's talk about the Wizards. Actually, let's do it.
I'll chuck the Wizards in again. It's the same old story, really. There's not much else to add. It looks like some players are maybe not taking it seriously. They're very inconsistent. Some people are having great games, one game, and then not a great one after. I think when we spoke before, we were talking about expectations for teams and how maybe it changes based on certain things. Like we spoke about the Clippers before with the roster. You always, even though they fail to meet your expectations, come the playoffs or the end of the season, you still always throw them in it. I think the Wizards are exactly what everyone thought they were going to be based off what their roster was and the moves they made. So it's kind of same old, but I didn't really have any other one to throw in here, so I'll just chuck them.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, in terms of Kuzma's been good this year. I'll give him his due. Every time I've seen a Wizards stat line, or I'm looking at, like, rarely have I watched the Wizards, I'll be completely frank with you. But whenever I see a box score of a live game, if the Wizards have scored a decent amount of points, it's going to be Kuzma. And Kuzma's doing it at a decently efficient rate for what he's going to be doing as the main guy in this team. Jordan Poole, I think, has come into the season thinking he was going to be like, my natural ability is going to shine, and not taking it as seriously as he should. And as such, has found it quite hard to then regain some rhythm. I'm not going to be like too detrimental on Jordan Poole, because I also think people had an unrealistic expectation of what he'd do going into this team. Like, he's not like an all-star level guard. I know he had good games in Golden State, but it's a completely different kettle of fish now, being the second option on the team to being the 4th or 5th in a really good team.
Yeah, I think maybe it's not. This is kind of comparing apples to oranges a little bit, but I think of, and I know there was a podcast with him recently of Porzingis when he was at the Mavs, and we've seen what he's spoken about a little bit about his mindset at the time and how he thought the Mavs maybe weren't using him to his strengths. And obviously, he then got traded to the Wizards and had, I think it was a career year stat-wise, but, maybe took it the way to, show what he could do. And obviously now he's in Boston. He seems as though, when he was reflecting on his time in Dallas, he has learnt, and that will only help him when he plays in Boston. And maybe we'll see that sort of turn with Jordan Poole. It doesn't look like that at the moment, obviously, but I think that you could maybe draw some similarities there and see that how maybe both of them took a different mindset in, and maybe if Jordan Poole sort of switches it a little bit, he'll flourish in that role, even though, as you say, maybe you don't think Jordan Poole can be as good a player as best as Porzingis can be. I don't know. That's up for debate.
Yeah, it's just other things as well. Like Tyus Jones has been very strange for the Wizards, I feel, this year. He hasn't been like the guard that I was expecting him to be. And there's no one really else on the Wizards that I care too much to speak about. Bilal Coulibaly,
the one that's what I was going to say. The one they drafted, yeah. He's okay.
But I literally only know him through So Rare. That's it, because I don't really follow I'm not going to pay too much attention to anything.
I mean, we can criticize Paul all we want, but he's brought some great comedy this year.
But this thing, I really like Jordan. I really like Jordan Poole as just like an NBA personality player. Like, that's the thing of it. It's just unfortunate that he seems to have come in thinking he's going to be like 30 and 5 a night, and it just hasn't.
Yeah, there's a comment, a good point as well. Sorry, just to bring it up about maybe, I talked about the players' side of things, but you also have to look at the Wizards as well. And I've seen some of the Wizards have a knack of mismanaging talent. Maybe you also look there and say it's not just all on the players. You also have to look at the organisation and maybe why it's failing from their side. Because we talk about Jordan Poole and some of the players all the time, obviously. So maybe we should look to there a bit more as well.
Yeah, they've been failing for the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's why it's not mentioned so much.
They have never been to them. Yeah, they have never been a successful franchise ever. It takes a lot to flip something like that. There are just perennially bad teams, it feels like.
I've been looking at getting some sort of like clips and audio clips and like drops that we can have, because they work quite well whenever we do streams or if we do this as well. And the damn Washington Wizards one is the one that I'm definitely going to be bringing in, because that old Stephen A rant from a long time ago is still relevant for it. I also saw that John Wall was hosting a workout session with Austin Rivers. Did you see that? Looking for a new team.
No.
Who's going to pick John Wall up? Eh?
Bring him in. That's heritage.
That's
probably the best moment of the Wizards in the last couple. He was probably their best era, wasn't he?
What, John Wall, Bradley Beal era? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They got to the. Did they get to conference finals? Can't remember. I have the semis. I remember he got on the table, right, John Wall?
Yeah.
Am I
mean, John Wall was the solid player.
Oh, he was a great player.
He carried his sitting down the stairs and tore his Achilles. So
it was an unfortunate couple of years for him, in fairness. But I also believe that none of the team liked him. That was a bit. They all disliked him. When he got injured, they were like, "Oh, now everyone's eating." Do people?
I don't know, to be honest.
I'm sure. Who was it? It was the sort of white European centre. I forgot his name. Not Mozgov. Might have been Mozgov. No, I don't think so.
He come out and said, "Now everyone's eating."
I think it was Bradley Beal, in fairness, who said everyone was eating. But I think it was a centre as well. I'll have to look it up. But it was quite funny at the time. But yeah.
That's one for another time. But I think if we don't have anything else to say, we've just hit the hour mark. So if you've stayed here as we're doing this live on YouTube, and you can find us at swingmanpod on YouTube, come check us out. But if you're here live on YouTube, thank you for staying with us for this long. It does mean a world to us. We do like doing these live ones. Like, we've had some chats. Like, we love the comments that you send in. Jumpshoot was here earlier, Boobroom was here. Ace Adams also here as well. We love having the conversation with it when we have these stuff live. So I think if that's it, have you got anything else, guys? No,
sorry,
get ourselves out of it.
I will not do it again.
Yeah. that. I mean, we were fine. It was more of we started with the two of us, and we was like, I think we're all good. And then it was like 10 minutes in, I was like, he's still not here. I'm going to check on his well-being.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to wrap that one up there. Thank you very much for watching. Like I've just said, if you haven't subscribed to us over here on YouTube, please do so. Please do so. It would help us out more than you could possibly imagine. And also, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to us there and leave us a review because it would help us out. Grab a pint and some grub. Do you know what? We're actually going to go and grab a pint and some grub because it is the boys' Christmas dinner tonight. So the group of us are going to go out for it. So on that note, I hope you enjoy the NBA over this Christmas festive break. We might have one in between NBA and New Year. We're not sure yet. If not, we'll see you in the new year too. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.